Title: The Last Screening. In a small, nondescript town, tucked away between rolling hills and dense woods, there sat an old movie theater. It was once a proud, crumbling edifice, adorned with weathered marquee lights that flickered sporadically, casting eerie shadows on the cracked pavement below. Known as the Crestview Cinema, it had been abandoned for over a decade, its faded walls whispering secrets of forgotten films and lost dreams. Despite the layered dust that covered its entrance, rumors of one last movie screening haunted the streets. It was said that there was a long-lost film, a horror movie so terrifying that the studio decided to bury it, never to see the light of day. They called it Eclipsed, a psychological thriller that was far too dark even for the 1980s. The legend of this movie drew in a small group of teenagers, daring each other to explore the ruins of the theater in search of whatever remained. Among them was Claire, a witty girl with an insatiable curiosity, often known for her deep dive into urban legends. Luke, her adventurous older brother, and their friends, Mia and Jorge, were only too eager to join the quest. That Friday evening, armed with flashlights and weak courage, they approached the decaying facade of the Crestview Cinema, the chill of the impending twilight creeping in around them. "I can't believe we're doing this," Mia whispered, her voice trembling slightly. Luke chuckled, "Come on, it's just an old theater. What's the worst that could happen?" Claire rolled her eyes, pushing the creaking door open, revealing a musty interior swallowed by shadows. Dust motes danced in the faint beam of their flashlights, as they stepped inside, their hearts racing with a mix of thrill and unease. As they navigated through the debris, they stumbled upon an ancient projector, its metal body rusted from years of neglect. Claire's eyes lit up. "What if we could find the film?" she suggested, optimism shining through her voice. The group exchanged skeptical glances but followed her lead, rummaging through the forgotten relics of movie posters and broken chairs. It was Jorge who discovered the canister, half buried beneath a pile of film reels, Eclipsed. The label was faded, but the title echoed like a siren's call. "We actually found it," he exclaimed, holding it high with a grin that was quickly overshadowed by the growing tension. With excitement outweighing their fear, they decided to set up the projector right there in the old theater. As they painstakingly threaded the film, Claire felt a shiver creep down her spine, an instinct she couldn't quite shake. For a moment, she hesitated. "Maybe we should just leave," she murmured, but the group was already too engrossed in the thrill of discovery. As the first frames flickered to life, an unnatural hush fell over the group. The screen illuminated grotesque images, invoking feelings of dread and confusion. The narrative was disturbing. It featured a character who seemed to unravel in real time, exhibiting traits of madness, paranoia, and despair. The characters on screen, seemingly aware of their own doom, kept turning toward the camera, their expressions pleading, their eyes glistening with a horror that felt all too real. Claire's heart raced as the tension mounted. "This doesn't feel right," she said, her voice a mere whisper, but it was drowned out by the chilling screams echoing from the screen. Just then, the projector began to whir and flicker erratically as static invaded the sound. An electric silence enveloped the room, and the shadows seemed to deepen around them. "Stop! Turn it off!" Luke shouted, panic rising in his chest. But before anyone could move, the film began to pulse with a life of its own. Characters from the film began to bleed into reality, blistered hands clawing at the edges of the screen as it vibrated violently. One moment, they were watching, it was just a film, and the next, they were suddenly part of something ancient, dark, and unspeakably terrifying. Mia fainted, and Jorge screamed as the fabric separating the film world from their reality began to tear. Claire felt a chill clutch her heart. The face of the main character, a distorted version of her own, twisted and grinned at her. "You're next," it whispered, echoing through the theater. In a frenzy, Claire rushed to switch off the projector. As her fingers brushed against the cold metal, the world spun around her. Suddenly, everything stopped. The room stood still, the screen black, save for a swirling void that seemed hungry. They gazed at each other, fear painting their features. "We need to go, now," Luke shouted, frantically pulling Mia to her feet. They stumbled toward the exit, feeling the weight of unseen forces pressing against their backs, as if the movie it had once been was demanding their souls in exchange for freedom. Bursting through the doors, they could still hear a low thrum, a chant echoing behind them, promising their fates would be sealed if they dared return. Breathless and shaken, the four friends realized the myths were true. The movie had been made, but perhaps it should have stayed buried. As they reached the safety of the streetlights, Claire glanced back at the Crestview Cinema, now silent against the night. The flicker of the marquee lights pulsed one last time. Eclipsed would haunt them forever, an unfinished tale that would never find resolution, its horrors confined within its own unreal world, while they remained forever touched by what they had unwittingly uncovered. From that day onward, Claire understood. Some stories are best left untold, and some movies are terrifying for a reason.